Hi everyone, I'm Tim Kash, and this is IMDb Live, presented by Ego. One Ego can change everything. Joining me today are my super fan co-hosts. Give it up right now for Ian de Borja and Clarke Wolfe.
Hey!
Hello,
everyone.
Welcome.
I am in good company to do this, and what that is talking Stranger Things, seasons 1, 2, and 3. Let's deep dive into the first 2 seasons, and then later on, let's talk about what's coming up. Are you both ready?
So ready.
Very ready. And other people who are ready are people watching at home. Those of you who are on IMDb.com, you want to come in, leave your comments, questions for us, or your theories about season 3. Go to twitch.tv/IMDb, and you can answer it all there. Let's get. Looks like we have a friend.
Oh, right. So I should mention that, this thing. Some employees from Hawkins National Laboratory came here all the way from Indiana.
Okay.
So a long way.
It's a
long flight to give us a hard time. And they've got some secret government testing that they're going to run on us, Stranger Things fan, while we're doing the show. So no big deal.
Genius.
What could go wrong,
A lot.
considering their history? Totally above board. All right, so let's get into our first test. How about?
Yes.
In order to identify what type of Stranger Things fan you each are, please answer this question.
Okay.
What is your personal favorite part of Stranger Things?
Oh, that's a big question.
There's so much to love.
Can I answer everything?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Ian, let's start with you. Your favorite part about Stranger Things?
Hard to say, like you said, on IMDb. I have this as a 10 out of 10 on
Whoa.
IMDb. One of the rare TV shows that give it that. But my favorite part is the music. The band Survive, based out of Austin, Texas. The analog synths, I absolutely love. Fits the mood perfectly. And for fun fact for those who don't know, the music was actually just used as a pilot when the Duffer Brothers used it for the pilot episode of Stranger Things, and it just fit so perfectly they kept it. And it really sets the mood. It's dark and spooky and evil, but the sounds they use places it in the 80s perfectly.
Yeah.
But then on the flip side of that, go through the episodes and the soundtrack.
Oh my God,
The
the
songs that they use.
soundtrack.
First of all, how much is their budget? That's insane. Second of all, the songs that they use from the 80s. What a great era for music. When they're driving in the car, the music's playing.
Because it immediately puts you there. Time and place, you're in it, whether it's a sappy love ballad
Right.
or it's punk rock. It's just so perfect. Whoever is running their soundtrack and their music department
Is spending way too much money, but money well spent.
Yes.
Clarke, you have a favorite all-around thing about Stranger Things?
I do. For me, it is the performances on the show. Look, I'm a huge genre fan. We're all genre fans. And I think the thing that makes, horror and science fiction and fantasy resonate is if you don't care about these characters, then the scares are meaningless. And
Yes.
you don't get, 3 seasons and a huge following by just being, scary for scary's sake.
Right.
So that said, Noah Schnapp stands out to me so much. He plays Will. In season 1, he didn't really get to do that much, right? Because
Right.
he was
He was
in the upside down.
upside down like the
He
whole
was
show.
indisposed for the time being. But in season 2, I was blown away by how much heart and pain and such a beautiful performance that he is turning in. And that's just one among many.
I mean, if we talk about him for a second, the scene in season 2 where they basically heat the virus
Oh my
out of him.
gosh.
Yeah.
He is an evil-looking child
Oh, yeah.
in that moment. Kind of
Exorcist
reminiscent
moment.
of The Exorcist.
Yeah.
Very much so. Great performances all over. I'm a sucker for, any group, like Goonies was my movie
Yeah.
growing up. And so any group of talented young actors together, I can watch do anything. So all of them together are fantastic. Not even actually the main cast. Even the cast on the
Oh, yeah,
outside,
the
the ones you
supporting
don't.
cast.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, last season, Bob Newby, Sean Astin,
Yeah.
he was a main character, and he was such a heartfelt guy. I mean, he was great. Speaking of the Goonies, a great callback just having him on the show, and the way he related with Will's mom and the kids, it was perfect.
Is that what you call it? Related with Will's mom?
They had relations.
Relations with Will's mom, yes.
Relations.
Thank you for that. There are some
I
comments.
know we're PG, but not that PG.
There are comments coming in the chat. I wish Hopper was my stepdad. Right?
Yeah.
David Harbour
David
as
Harbour,
Hop,
fantastic.
I mean, just a powerhouse.
Yes.
Especially getting to see these, so many different layers to his character, big, burly kind of sheriff, but now a father to 11 in season 2. And also we get to learn more about his backstory that I feel will come back into play later on.
Yeah.
For me, you had me at Winona Ryder. You wanna transport me back to nostalgia.
Yeah.
You put Winona Ryder and people of that era into these movies, and I forget it's even her. Do you know? I forget that that's her. Her performance is so phenomenal. I thought an interesting fact was when they actually pitched for this, she's not that tech savvy. She didn't know what streaming was.
That's right.
She does now. But you know, everything from the walkie-talkies to the wood. I got to say, thank you for having us in your kitchen, by the way.
I know,
This is
yeah,
beautiful,
lovely.
beautiful stuff.
Love what
here.
you've done with
But,
this.
but all of this, the Christmas lights, the wood paneling, the cars, the music, the hairstyles.
Yes.
Do you guys have a favorite hairstyle in the entire show?
Oh.
Go on.
Steve.
Steve.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, there you go. Yeah,
Really?
Yeah, of course. Steve is iconic.
on.
Oh,
Uh-oh.
looks like we have a.
has-
But wait,
interruption
there's
here.
more.
Has my name on it. Okay. This has my name on it. I was just going to say my favorite was Dustin when he goes to the
Prom
snowball.
or
Oh.
the homecoming.
His
Yeah.
hair right there. Just remember the spray.
So,
he gets
yes,
the tips from
the Farrah
Steve.
Fawcett
Yeah,
spray.
Farrah Fawcett spray.
Steve inspiration. So yeah.
Exactly.
Sales of that spiked.
Right.
Okay, this is another one for me.
Okay.
It's time for a mind game. We will test how you react to randomized prompts.
Okay.
Roll the given dice and respond honestly to what you see. Okay, there are 2 dice here, and what have I got is, oh, right, so if I roll it, it'll come up with like strangest and then moment. Or if I roll it again, it will come up with grossest performance.
Yes.
I hope it doesn't go there. All right, so let me roll it,
Yeah.
and then we can see what
Yeah, and
happens.
chat, play along as well. Make
Yeah.
sure you play along with the dice game.
All right, ready?
Oh.
You cheated.
I swear I didn't.
You
but this is-
100% cheated.
Okay, fine, I'll roll it again. There you go.
Oh.
Oh, okay.
Scariest moment.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, for me, scariest moment. You know what? This is the thing with Stranger Things. Even though it's a TV show and it's streaming on Netflix, it's actually, and we're all horror fans right here, right? It has actually got those moments that are scary. Actually genuinely scary.
Yes.
Like turn on a light just so I don't want to be here with the mind flare and things like that. Scariest moment for me is that moment where, you know, Bob gave Will that advice and he goes, you know, you got to tell him, get away from me, and Will, he tries it and it doesn't work. So when he gets invaded
Yeah.
by the mind flare and goes into him, that is an insane moment, kind of scary and creepy in all different ways.
Mine is also a Will moment. It's the moment where he's laying down in the grass and he's shaking with his mouth open,
Having the-
and you've
yeah,
got
yeah.
that
Bullshits.
great overhead shot that just pulls out. It is the contortion in his face, and also it is this small child that you just want to protect, but he is something very bad is going on. But it's really, for me, the facial expression of just that gaping mouth and the ascension into the sky. Oh my God, I have chills just thinking
It's
about
not
it.
by coincidence they picked, honestly, he has one of the most angelic faces
Yes.
out of the
Oh,
cast, and they picked
absolutely.
him to do those. He is phenomenal. But much love to the other ones too. Do you have a favorite scariest moment?
Yeah, so I actually was going to say the one with Will on the ground there. I mean, Will
Get
just
out of
in
my
general,
head.
especially in like season 1, Will really captures like the body possessed kid, like in every scene that he's in, and when he's running around the upside down, you really get a sense of fear that's coming out of him all the time. But another scene that I really liked is when the lights start flicking in season 1. Like, I didn't really, obviously people didn't know that was like part of the show.
When Winona Ryder's in the...
Yeah, that was like legitimately like, this is a scary television show, and I really enjoyed that.
That change of pace was amazing. Anything on the chat?
Let's see. Someone said they liked the rubber walls moving in season 1 also.
the
That was
great
really
Nightmare
good.
on Elm Street reference of the creature coming through.
Yes, and then someone saying 11 meeting the monster in the deprivation chamber as well. Very good.
Go on.
All right, I'm gonna roll.
Roll.
Here we go. 1 and most memorable episode.
You've got most memorable
Wow.
episode.
Okay, most memorable episode. You know, I gotta go back to the season 1 finale.
Yeah.
It is so, for me, the kids culminating in the school and, you know, the final showdown. And of course you have that coupled with like Nancy and Steve and Jonathan holding things down
Right,
over
at
at
the
the
house.
Byers house, but then everything coming together and 11 facing Papa and, you know, Mike having to say goodbye and it ending on Christmas. Oh, it's
Right.
just so
Okay.
like, that to me, it's burned into my brain.
This is a tough one. I'm
So-
racking my brain right now to come up
for
with one,
me,
so you go next.
the most memorable episode for me is the one where 11 flips the car.
Yes.
With
Oh my
her
God.
hands. To me, it's like, all right, like welcome to the show. Like, she's legitimately has these powers. There's like a E.T., like X-Men vibe. For me, when that happened, I was like, all right, this is...
And that's a cold open. That comes before the title sequence.
Right.
Like the fact that they open this episode with that is like, oh my God, how do you...
I guess to complete it, I'll keep it 11. And for me, my favorite episode is my favorite 11 moment is when at the end of season 2 she comes back. She returns. It starts off at her shoes. The camera pans up. She's got the kind of cool, as I think David Harbour describes as an MTV punk look. And she walks back in that room, and then to see Mike's reaction to her, that one moment makes it my favorite episode.
Okay.
Love it.
Love that right there.
Nice. All right.
Roll away.
My turn to roll. All right, we got couple.
Oh boy.
Most shocking couple.
Most shocking couple.
Oh man.
All right, go ahead.
I got one.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
All right. Dustin and Dart.
Dustin and Dart. Okay, the little pollywog.
Of course. Well, not so little.
Not so little anymore, but yeah, when we see it,
What
yes.
DVD extras did you see?
They're a little partnership. They're a little couple. It was so sweet at first and so sad because Dustin is so rejected. He feels sad that Max is like obviously more interested in Lucas. And so that's his little buddy for a while, but then it just ends so bad. But gives way to another great couple.
Yes, I love Dustin so much.
By the way, it doesn't end that badly with Dart. Because at the end he feeds him. Do you remember?
Yeah.
That when they went right. And so they're still like buddies. He lets them live and survive.
Sure.
Most shocking couple. Go on. What's yours?
I mean, they haven't really. They're kind of teasing a bit. This could be going to season 3, but I guess Billy and Mrs. Wheeler.
Yes.
Come on. I mean, they teased it a little bit in season 3, and I know the promo shot of Billy doing his little rounds at the pool with the interaction with moms and the way he shows up shirtless at the house. I love it.
Okay,
It's
so
great.
I have a question about
Go
that.
ahead.
Yes.
In the scene in season 2 when Billy's dad like confronts him in the house, right? And he says, "Cancel your date."
Yes.
Do we think that was Mrs. Wheeler? Because I was rewatching the episode and I was like, oh my God, like are we gonna find out in season 3 that like he bailed on her or that they've been like sneaking around?
I think we would have had more of a setup, right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know.
maybe.
They're playing into it a lot, though. That teaser shot they did told nothing of the story, but
Yeah,
him
maybe he
walking
was
around the
going to go
pool.
meet Dart. My most shocking couple, this is a weird one, but I'll tell you, my most shocking couple that could never be is, do you know how the guy that runs the arcade?
Yes.
You know how he's always going for a date for Nancy?
Yes.
Could you imagine?
No.
That would be
No, I couldn't. But that would be the most shocking.
That would be the most shocking.
I mean, Nancy's dating.
Yes,
so,
yes.
but yes, that would be the most shocking couple. Aside from that, nothing really shocks me on that show in terms of the couples. I quite like it.
Yeah.
I guess what I would love to see is Hopper and Winona Ryder's character, Darcy, come together. The sharing of cigarettes turns into something else. That I'd be
How
into
did you
that.
feel when season 2 when we found out Mrs. Dyer got with Bob Newell? Were you heartbroken? Did you want Hopper
Bob's
to
a
be in that spot?
superhero. I mean, I get it. He's such a nice guy. She needs that. And I also love the fact, on a really emotional note that they really hit really nicely, how he just accepts the situation, the kids. He's ride or die for her.
Yep.
And I love Bob.
Yeah.
Bob can
Love
do no
Bob.
wrong.
Justice for Bob.
Right.
I'll roll again. Let's go. Okay.
Oh, we got a couple. Should we re-roll couple?
re-roll
I'm
the
gonna
couple.
re-roll both of them.
Okay.
Okay.
No, we
did that
already.
one.
Are these dice rigged?
Oh,
Saddest
This is a great
episode.
one.
Okay.
Saddest
I have my saddest episode immediately. The saddest moment that kind of takes over my saddest episode is beginning of season 2, where Will is trying to contact 11 in like her
Or
little.
Mike.
Mike, sorry,
Yeah,
why did I
yeah,
say
yeah.
Will? Mike. Yeah, Mike is trying to contact 11 in like the fort that they have in his basement, and he's just repeatedly hitting the walkie-talkie, and it zooms out. It's like, oh, my heart breaks for
And
you.
even the flip side for her, she hears him, gets there, and
Yeah, and
he
he just
disappears. And the funniest thing
Yeah.
is Dustin always like, why are you on this channel? Why are you on this channel? Go on, what's yours?
Oh, saddest moment.
And there are
it's-
there are a few of them.
For me, it's when 11 goes to visit her mom. That whole arc, I really, really like that arc. I like finding out that, and you find out so much about Papa and her mother's relationship together, and that feels so sad to me. Just knowing that this, her mother was probably manipulated and taken advantage of, and then her daughter was stolen, and then she was basically like discarded, and now 11 has lived so many years with this trauma.
Yep.
So going back and knowing that her mother is alive and trying to communicate with her,
I know.
it's just like, oof, it's so sad.
For me, saddest moment. I mean, there's a couple of ones. My PTSD kicks in when Dustin gets rejected at the snowball prom by those girls that laugh at him, but that's a personal thing. But no, my saddest thing is going to be Bob. He gets out there, he gets the order, goes, run, you can make it. He makes it through the door, first door, he makes it through the second door, slams the door shut, sees Winona Ryder, Darcy, and then out of the blue, bang, he's dead.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. I know initially what I read was, they wanted it to be kind of like a subtle death or just not as graphic. And he referenced the death of the captain in Jaws.
Yeah,
Sean Astin did.
Clint.
And he went and referenced that and he was like, let's go there. Let's take it there. And they do.
Yeah.
Just a slow-mo of him just dying so slowly and then Hopper coming in trying to save him, or was he trying hard enough? I'm not sure. I'm not sure, I'll be honest with you.
Are you guys happy with Bob
He's like,
dying?
Hopper suddenly he's like, can't aim anymore. He's like, oh.
He's a stormtrooper aim, right?
Yeah,
of course.
Are you happy that Bob died in
No,
season 2?
absolutely not.
I think he died so well. He died a hero.
Yeah, I think, as much as I really liked their dynamic and I love Sean Astin's performance
Yes, he was
as
amazing.
Bob,
Yeah.
I do think that we're setting up some love for season 3,
Yes.
maybe some unrequited love between Joyce and Hop. And if that's the case, then it
That
had
would
to
explain
happen.
why Hopper missed.
Saskowitz in the chat felt Bob's death was telegraphed from the get-go. So
From the start of that episode,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
Like you knew. I think that's the thing with Duffers, right? The moment you start feeling for somebody and you're like, oh, they're so nice, they're so pure, which is why I say watch out, Steve, in season 3. The moment you start feeling that purity with someone is the moment they gotta go.
yeah.
That's I'm telling you, just watch out, Stevie.
No,
That's what it is.
No,
Let's roll again.
not my
yeah.
Steve.
One more time.
Not my Steve. Okay, let's do
Grossest
Okay.
performance.
grossest performance. The grossest performance. I mean, you know what? Actually, I'm gonna say Billy so far because
I agree.
that's
He is kinda grimy.
in a show that's like covered in goo and like bugs and monsters invading your body and all this stuff. Billy is just disgusting. He's awful. He's so mean and such a bully.
Yeah.
But also, I like how they don't give him a full mullet even. Like it's a stringy mullet.
He's still growing into it.
Yeah, and he's just got this weird little half mustache and he's always smoking and sweaty and I'm just like, this guy is a mess.
He is a phenomenal actor.
Yes.
He's an Aussie. That's the
Yep.
first thing that blew me away. And then the fact that his accent's so spot on. But if you ever watch his, Google it when we're done with the show and just watch his audition for the role. If you ever seen it, it's brilliant. He basically performed in a G-string and then did this role. No, he did. He went all the way, and that's kind of what caught the Duffer Brothers' attention because he acts crazy and then
great.
flips it back to when someone else is around to being completely normal and nice.
Yeah.
I agree with you. That is the grossest performance because, and here's the crazy thing, Steve initially was meant to be the bad guy.
Yes.
He was described as the douchiest of douchebags at the high school, but because
They like Joe so much.
they wrote him into it,
Yeah.
and what an amazing
His
transformation.
character flip is so good.
So we needed a human bad guy.
Right.
And this is why Billy gives the grossest performance for that. Great choice.
And so I'm really hoping on that note that they don't try and make Billy into a good guy by the end of season 3. I really hope he stays bad because
No.
I don't want to be paralleling Steve's. Because
Right.
at the end of season 2, I was like, are
They're
they
trying
going
to redeem him a
they make him
little.
redeem, like they show his relationship with his father,
Right.
which is awful, obviously, and you really feel for him. But I do hope they just keep turning Billy up, let that mullet grow out a bit more, and when it reaches its final form is when he's ready. The mullet matches.
yeah,
his
I don't feel that he's going to have any redemption
think
because
he
I don't
does
think he wants
either.
one. He likes being the bad
Yeah,
guy.
totally.
And that's why it's a great gross performance. You have a gross performance?
That totally took me away from it. Gross performance for me is actually when they find Barb finally.
Oh, yeah.
Tied up, stuck against the
like,
wall,
wha-
just
yeah.
completely trapped against the wall. That was like the first thing that I thought of a gross, because I was like, oh, I guess that's what happens to people in the Upside Down.
Yeah.
They get strung up on a wall like that, and it's Very gross. All right.
All right, you're up.
All right, one more here. Let's see. People in the chat. No redemption for Billy. Nah, he will stay rotten. They cannot redeem. It would feel too weird. Awesome. Right.
Yep.
We're in line with all
We
of them.
agree.
Okay, most shocking.
Most shocking.
Make it a good one.
Hair.
Okay.
Most shocking hair. All right. So most shocking hair. I feel like you've got a lot to say on this one.
Oh, man. I have been noticed. Okay, can I just say,
Yes, you can.
as
You
a
can.
woman who is on camera every now and again,
Yes.
I love that they let the actors have like real hair. Meaning like Nancy, let's say, in season one.
yeah.
They don't have her in a full like extensions and like trying to make her pretty high school. She's gorgeous. She's a gorgeous woman. But what I'm saying is she looks like a real high school girl. So I've actually been paying a very close attention to hair in my rewatch. And
Hair's also very iconic for 80s, right?
Yeah,
Hairstyle's
it-
a key
sure.
part of fashion,
It
right?
Do you
very
think
much
that
is.
people will look at us in the future, look back and be like, whoa, their hair was really
Absolutely.
weird? Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay,
No,
so it's
definitely
like,
not.
that was the craziest time for hair.
Yes.
So for most shocking hair, well, would it go back to you were talking about earlier, Dustin at the ball?
It wasn't
Yeah.
shocking to me, he just looked good.
Oh,
Yeah,
all
he
right.
just had the slick back, the extra perm up
Dustin
at
will
the
be
top.
mine. Dustin will be mine.
I find Billy's hair to be a work of art in itself.
It's
It
something.
seems like you like mullets.
Well, it's like a bird's nest. Something's going on up there. I don't know which part it starts and where it finishes. It fits him weirdly. He suits it.
Oh yeah, it's
Strange
so
thing.
Lost Boys.
Yeah.
Like
I have a feeling you have mullet pictures somewhere in your past.
Ooh.
I think if we search early 90s, late 80s, Tim, we're going to see some mullet.
Ooh.
We've
I
had
can
3 or
neither
4 mullet
I can't
references of
confirm
love.
or deny such a thing.
Oh boy.
Someone's got the pictures.
Yep.
Time for a test of knowledge.
That thing works.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, National Hawkins Lab.
This is
Okay.
a totally
Give
normal
us a
thing
call, all right?
that happens.
To test how well you know Stranger Things, I will ask you a series of trivia questions.
Okay.
3 and first to answer. Every correct answer earns a waffle. Whoever has the most waffles at the
Ooh.
end wins a highly coveted prize.
Oh boy.
All right.
All
so
right.
we got a trivia question coming in from the National Hawkins Lab.
Okay, we'll put the bell in the center.
Winner of the question.
So we got to ring the bell. Okay, so here's
yeah.
the deal. We get asked a trivia question. We got to ring the bell, which is why you put the bell so close to yourself.
I don't know what you're talking
and then
about.
we,
I don't know
I
what you're
noticed that you're very competitive.
Who, me? No,
Okay,
I don't know.
and the next thing I guess is what we're keeping score with
With
Eggo
Eggos.
waffles.
With Eggo waffles.
Do you know, fun fact? Never ever tried an Eggo waffle. Today could be the day.
Until now.
This is it.
Today could be the day.
Today's the day.
Okay.
All right, let's do this. I'm gonna move this so it's slightly more fairly positioned.
Fairly positioned. I can't even reach it.
I think you'll be fine. And shall we do
Here we
this?
go. Yeah.
All right.
First question. In season 1, episode 3, Eleven uses her powers to make a Star Wars toy levitate. Which toy is it?
The answer is the Millennium Falcon.
Correct.
That's right. It's sitting
Ooh,
on the.
thank you.
It's sitting on the bed right behind her, right when she's sitting down.
Well, the first time Dustin asked her to do it,
Make
it just
this
drops to the
float.
floor, and she's just having fun doing
Yeah.
that. Great. That's another one of these great references of all of the writers and everyone paying tribute to what we grew up watching.
And then later, Mike is missing her, and he's like has to throw away his toys
Yeah.
or give away his toys, and he's holding the Millennium Falcon, and he just puts it aside.
And it's like, as a kid, don't you wish if you had when you're playing your Millennium Falcon, you had one of your friends who could just make it float? Right?
Obvi.
Okay.
That's the
you know,
I would have wanted
Who
it. It's
wouldn't?
fine.
Who would
yeah.
not want
Come
that?
on.
you know, the
Come
best
on.
tribute to Star Wars though is I think Dustin's. You know, he does that Chewbacca purr.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Wait, I don't even have to ask you to try. Will you give it? How do you
I can't do it. I
fine.
can't. I wish I
can't
could.
either. All right.
Long time coming.
But yeah, that is one of the great scenes of making things levitate. But I agree with you. I think all of us want telekinesis powers at some point. A lot of other great Star Wars references in there. Can we get that next question?
Yes.
Okay.
Next question. Which Stranger Things actor has the most IMDb credits?
Oh, I kind of buzzed here early. I'm gonna say Winona Ryder.
Yeah.
Incorrect.
Oh.
You actually buzzed too, so you have to guess now as well.
Who has the
about
most
pacing, people.
IMDb credits? Is it is it Matthew Modine?
See, that's where I was gonna go next.
Incorrect.
Oh.
The most.
All right, Chad is getting these wrong too.
Who has worked a ton and taken any job that's chucked their way for years? Whew. I'm gonna go. It's gonna have to be an age thing.
Yes.
And it's anyway. Is it Cork? I guess I can't discuss back and forth what it's gonna be. I'll go with Sean Astin
right?
just because he's main cast and.
Correct.
Good job.
Astin.
All right.
Give me
Very
my
good.
ego.
One
And then, by the way, that's a
ego.
lesson. Don't be so quick to buzz.
Let's see. Modine, Winona. Other people thought Winona and Modine. So
I thought it
we
was
were
Winona.
we were in line with it, and Neuro Puro in the chat got it.
Oh,
Neuro
good
Puro.
job. Good
Well done,
job.
well
Well
done.
done.
All right, next question.
Again,
Hawkins.
this is moving further and further. Okay, go on.
Next
I'm
question.
gonna get blanked.
When Dustin calls Mr. Clarke at home, what 1982 John
No,
Carpenter
hold on.
movie is he watching with his girlfriend?
John.
You can't. Wait. That's an official buzz. You can't just do it.
I'm gonna give it to
Do
Clark.
you know what? I'm
giving
gonna give it to you.
Clark.
I'm gonna
doing
give it
Clark.
to you
They
right
allow
there.
you to do it on Jeopardy. We can do it here.
Exactly. Thank you.
So shall I just hit that and let them finish the
Oh.
question
Well, no,
after?
She
I
knew
was,
where it was going.
I was ready to answer the question, but certainly I don't want to make our Hawkins Lab people angry.
Yes,
I've
yes.
seen what happens when
Yes,
that happens.
yes,
The
yes.
answer is John Carpenter's The Thing.
Correct.
And I think that we are going to be seeing, the Duffers have said that season 3, they're going to be making some references to The Thing, more direct references
Yes.
to The Thing, which I think we'll talk about a little later. But I have a theory as to what that might be beyond just the body horror of it all.
Perfect.
So,
We'll save that for later.
yeah, we'll save it for later.
Oh, okay.
That's a tease.
I was ready
Look at
right
a tease.
there.
That's a
I was-
tease.
I was ready right there.
Well,
Hawkins,
Geiger, good job
next
in chat
question.
as
I
well.
hope this time somebody lets you finish your question
No,
before they ring the
no,
bell.
I'm getting these egos. These are my egos.
I'm gonna get blanked.
Please do not interrupt me. Next question. One character on the show with an alliterative name is played by an actor with an alliterative name. Who is it?
I don't even know what illiterate
like,
means.
I'm cheating here.
wait, so it would be the only one.
Oh.
I'll ring in. Sorry. Do you want to go
No,
ahead?
no, you got it. I know you got
my
it.
guess is Matthew Modine. My answer is Matthew Modine.
Matthew Modine.
Correct.
Incorrect.
Incorrect. Okay,
Okay.
go for it.
Max Mayfield.
Correct.
Oh, good job. You do. Oh, here's you need an
Perfect,
ego.
perfect.
We got an ego on the board.
Note
we
to
got
self.
an ego
Google
on
the
the board.
word alliterative.
Yeah.
Okay. Next one.
Yes, next.
And don't use big words with me.
Question. What is the password to enter Castle Byers?
Oh, great question.
Do you know this?
I don't remember.
I don't know this one.
Oh my gosh.
I can't even guess.
Is it something about no?
Do you have any idea?
No.
It's something. Well, rats.
Let's work it out together.
Okay, so Winona goes to Castle Byers,
Okay.
and he says, "What's the password?" And she says, "Nah." and then they go in and they talk about poltergeist.
Oh, I got you. Where
Who's
she
running
walks
out?
up to the woods.
Time is running out.
Yeah, she
Yes.
goes in and she talks to.
Yeah. And he
To
asks her for
Will.
Okay, so I'm gonna follow someone from the chat. Guygar68 says Grayskull.
Incorrect.
Okay.
And I think that would be Grey Skull, but
Grayskull.
yeah.
Great. Oh man, is it a?
I think we passed
Oh, we're
on that
stumped.
one.
Are we
Hawkins.
stumped?
I think we might be stumped.
All right, Hawkins Lab.
Anyone on the chat? Can we phone a friend? Is that how this
There
works?
are no lifelines in this game.
Wow. Hawkins
The
Lab
answer
watches Who
is-
Wants to Be a Millionaire. All right, go on.
She's telling us.
The answer is Radagast.
Oh, someone did get that in chat.
Who is it?
Radagast.
EasyMac72.
Easy Max 72. You get a
Nicely
waffle.
done.
Yeah,
Well
we
done.
owe,
You get
we
an
owe you
Eggo.
a waffle.
You get an Eggo.
Yeah,
Well done.
Renil is on says, I'm sure I watched Stranger Things, but it seems not based off how many of these questions I'm not getting. So
By the way,
I'm with you.
buddy, you and me both.
Yeah, we're with you on that.
Next questions, please.
What Broadway shows have Gaten Matarazzo
Great question.
or Caleb McLaughlin performed in? 1 point for each answer.
Great question.
Gaten was in Les Miserables.
Oh, yes, he was. That's great.
Correct.
One Eggo for
point
you.
For Ian.
Knew that.
Okay, well, while you think, I know that Sadie, who plays Mad Max, played Annie on Broadway. So I do know that.
But that wasn't the question, right?
No. I'm just saying.
No points for Clark.
That's
No,
okay.
no points for
That's
Clark
okay.
says
do
National
you
Hawkins
perhaps
Lab.
have the answer?
No.
I needed to
Why would I have said the
All
wrong
right,
thing?
Should I guess?
Let's see.
Cats.
Incorrect.
Incorrect.
All right, what?
Oh, I'm gonna make
Phantom of the
another
Opera.
guess
No, go on.
based on Hairspray.
Ooh, good guess.
Was he seaweed?
Incorrect.
Oh, okay.
No.
No? All right. We might be blanking on this one. Chat, you got some time here?
Does chat have our back?
does
what
not
are
seem
some
like
ones
it.
with the young boys? Was one, okay, Jersey Boys?
Harry Potter.
Incorrect for
Harry-
both.
No. Okay, well, let's move on.
All right.
Before.
What's the answer?
The answers are Gaten was in Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, and Caleb was in Lion King.
Oh, great.
Okay.
That's so cool.
that.
Love it.
All right.
Nice.
What candy bar does Dustin
I'm
feed
sorry, I
Star?
thought we had to let the
Wait a
question
minute here.
finish.
Wait a
I thought
minute.
we had to let the question finish.
Are we changing the rules?
Whatever you've done, the answer is Three Musketeers.
I'm sorry. Maybe the Hawkins
my
Lab
ego.
should finish asking the question and
Wow, we're
then.
changing the
Give me
rules
my
over
ego.
here all of a sudden.
I don't know.
Alright,
I think you get half
Tim's
an egg
final
over
answer
it.
was Three Musketeers.
Correct.
Yeah, you
Wait,
better be correct.
Yeah,
Yes,
okay.
correct. Hawkins.
Neuropuro, Psychosis, Three Musketeers, Three Musketeers. Good job, you guys.
All right.
And if you're watching on IMDb.com and you want to join in on all the fun here, go to twitch.tv/IMDb and you can
Nice
join
one.
the chat here as well.
For sure.
All right.
Next question, please.
Yes.
We're playing prison rules, apparently.
Yeah.
So here we go. It's about to get crazy in here.
Next question. If you ding before the question is over, you will be disqualified.
Okay.
Which famous actress's hairspray does Steve use in his hair?
That was after the question was
Yeah,
over.
this is.
That was after the question.
Farrah Fawcett.
Correct.
Can I have my ego, please?
You're cheating.
This is
you are
this is
cheating.
getting heated over here, guys.
You are
This is gonna be
cheating.
a fun.
falling behind right there.
Psychosis again. Farrah Fawcett, you are on fire, my friend. Good job. Good job.
Good job.
Again?
Chat.
Wow.
Again.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
The winner is Tim.
All right. He got there first.
All right.
I'll
Must
accept
hurt.
it. I'll
Well,
accept
That
it.
must hurt.
the waffles don't. The
Good
egos
job,
don't
both
lie.
of you.
Right.
Good job.
Congratulations.
Nicely done.
Congratulations. You've won a Betamax video cassette recorder.
Ooh.
Never again miss any of your favorite programs with this top-of-the-line video recorder.
Congratulations, Tim.
Both with
Before-
VHF and UHF stations.
Before we go anywhere, this seems very heavy, so I just want to keep it there while we continue talking about the rest of the show. Is that
Yes.
all right? No, go on. You're done. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank
Bravo.
you.
Well done, Tim. If you're just tuning in, this is IMDb Live presented by Eggo, and today it's our Stranger Things 3 kickoff. One Eggo can change everything. Visit legomyeggo.com/11. That's 11, and go back to 1985 with Eggo.
I love it. I love it.
We got another
Ooh.
message. Here we go.
All right, I'm ready. Here we go. Another
we got?
message. Okay, update. We, the scientists of Hawkins Laboratory, are taking a lunch break. What? Well, they can eat all of our egos.
Yeah, they're gonna eat all those Eggos after
all of
just
our
one, right?
prizes. Maybe you could talk about your favorite Easter eggs and 80s references.
Here we go.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Great time for chat to
where
tune
do we
in as
even
well.
start?
You are speaking my language, Hawkins Lab
Yes.
Associates.
Go on, Clarke.
Okay, so this is probably one of my, in addition to the wonderful performances and all the things we talked about earlier, this is one of my favorite things as a movie nerd to dive into, is catching all of the references and hints about what might be coming up, we've already talked about the Goonies, let's say. So the Goonies is like a thread throughout the entire movie.
Yep.
But more so than that, and of course bringing Sean Astin in, naming Mike after Mikey, and Sean Astin in season 2 even goes on he talks about a treasure hunt, right?
Yeah,
so,
treasure
Yeah,
Yeah.
the X on the map even.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
So, but more so than that, like Steven Spielberg, who produced The Goonies, is throughout this whole. It runs throughout this whole thing. At some point, Will talks about how Reese's Pieces are his favorite candy, and of course, that's a great nod to E.T.
Right.
And we already talked about. We talked about Hop and Indiana Jones and all of those fun things.
Also at 11, when they disguise her and give her a disguise in the beginning, that blonde wig,
Yes.
the dress,
Right.
that's
Yes.
the same outfit that E.T. had.
Yes,
Yes,
yes.
that's
yes.
right, yeah.
I mean, in the floating bike,
Yeah.
right? The
Oh,
bike
yeah.
sequence, right?
Of course.
Lots of big nods there.
But one that I wanted to bring up that we've already kind of touched on is Jaws.
Mm-hmm.
So Jaws, it has been kind of sneaking its way through this series, and I think it's going to have more of an impact in season 3 as well. So yes, in the Byers boys' house, there's a Jaws poster, and you were talking earlier about the Bob's death and Quint, the reference to like, you know, the like rah rah, we're eating you.
Bruce eating him. Yeah.
Exactly, but and even in season 2, when Dustin and Steve are chumming essentially, like that, going down the tracks.
And that's a standby.
But even more so, like the outfits. If you look at the sheriff's department outfit, and even the cars that they use are exactly the same as the ones they use in Jaws.
Yep.
Same triangle pattern, same cars, everything.
So I have a quick prediction, because we're introducing Carrie Elwes this season as a slimy mayor doing bad things on the 4th of July.
Which is also Jaws weekend, right?
I just rewatched Jaws, and the parallels were. I was like, this is just a guess, obviously, but I think it makes sense for that to be maybe a basis for his character.
So my favorite Easter egg is I was rewatching the show in prep for this show. I was very proud of myself for catching this. So in episode 1, when the boys are about to leave the house, I think Dustin or I think Mike, one of them tells Dustin to grab a comic book. They say, hey, grab my X-Men. And it's X-Men number 134, which for those who read the comics knows that is the first comic of the Dark Phoenix saga, which is a massive, it's a massive foreshadowing of 11. You know, Dark Phoenix, for those who are unfamiliar, it's one of the X-Men. She has supernatural, like, telekinesis powers.
Out right now.
Yeah, also out right now.
Worldwide.
But the comic book is one of the most iconic comic book arcs ever. And I caught that and I said, hey, that was very cool. I was very proud of myself for that one.
Nice, well done. I'm proud of you too.
Yeah. Someone in the chat says The Clash is the best 80s reference.
Yes, for sure.
Yep.
You know, for me, there are subtle ones. You know, the other Stephen that Stranger Things refers to a ton from the books that you see a security guard reading, like Cujo is, of course, Stephen King. And if you ever pay attention, you know, Steve Harrington in high school is referred to as King Steve. You know, at the very end, Billy actually, and they're like, you know, in season 2 at the very end, he goes, Harrington, is that you? You know, I want something about King Steve, and that is Stephen King, role reverse. My favorite, though, if I give you any, is because when I grew up, Arnold Schwarzenegger was the man. And all of his movies,
Still is,
even the ones that people don't rate that high, I love them, okay? Predator. That was a movie and a half. It blew my mind. I remember not being old enough to watch it. I got in to see it. And if you remember, when they land, when Arnie's team squad lands, they're there to investigate a failed rescue attempt that was led by Jim Harper.
Yeah.
And that's where I think they got the sheriff's name from. Jim Harper right there.
I mean, on those lines, my favorite episode, season 2, episode 6, that's the one where they go into the upside down entrance. They're walking around. That's like a whole that whole 5-minute sequence is just exactly aliens. And then I think they actually say "Stay Frosty," which is from Predator, right? Correct.
Stay Frosty. And then also the very opening scene to the entire Stranger Things with do you remember the very first scene that you ever saw was the guy running through the lab in a lab coat and he gets into the thing, he's hitting the elevator door. Aliens right there. From the very start, you knew what you were going to get.
So I was reading, you know, the casting of the show. We talked about Sean Astin as being like a reference to the Goonies, but Paul Reiser, his presence. And I was reading a story about the casting of Paul Reiser and how he was simply the character was named Paul Reiser in the script, meaning like
really?
Like they just basically were like they weren't going to actually call him Paul Reiser, but they wrote him out as like Paul Reiser. Because they were just like, yeah, that's who this guy is. Like it's just there's no other question, which is obviously an Aliens reference.
Someone in the chat mentioning what you said on Stephen King. Bob mentions he grew up in Maine and was scared by spooky clowns.
Yes, true. Right.
Yes. I also, so I had the good fortune of being on the set in season 1 for this show when the Duffers were just like, they were in production and this show wasn't a phenomenon. And
what's that like? What did it look like? So you went on set and give me the rundown.
It was really, really cool. The kids were so natural and they clearly loved goofing off with each other. They really had a brotherhood like kind of feeling. And the Duffers were kind of like excited and they were in it. But one thing they said, because you know the show has had a couple of different names before they landed on Stranger Things. It was originally called Montauk. And
by the way, you Google that. So one of my favorite places to go is the IMDb trivia page.
Yes.
That is whenever you watch a movie, you watch it a second time, a TV show. I rewatched just like you did all of these seasons. You watch it with the IMDb trivia page. That Montauk thing led me into this whole
Yes,
other
a
world.
rabbit hole, right?
Which I don't even want to say on the microphone in case someone's listening, but the Montauk laboratory experiment.
Yes. There's so much. And so, but
Google
they,
it.
they
Yeah, Google
did,
it.
They
IMDb it.
so they did say though that while they were working on a title, they just essentially wanted to call it Stephen King font because as a reference
That's just like
to
Paul Rudd. So they clearly have a theme when they're working
yes,
on this stuff.
But,
like,
but
who we
basically
want
as
in
a
it, right?
reference to those old Stephen King paperbacks and the font that all of the names of the books would be in. And so when we watch that awesome title sequence, that is essentially Stephen King font personified,
Yes.
which I think is so funny.
There's a cool, other tidbit that I went and learned was, the Upside Down was always called the Nether. And the Mind Flayer, had its own name. But because the cast got so used to calling it the Upside Down in the scripts, it just ended up changing in the script.
So funny.
And they
Really?
incorporated. Yeah, that's why. It was originally called the Nether, and now it's called the Upside Down because the
And
actors
it
have
fits.
the
It
power.
fits.
Yeah,
Because
for sure.
the upside down sounds like a word kids would use to describe something like that, right?
And the great thing is, we had so many Easter eggs. We're only naming just a few of them, but in season 3 coming up, now that we're all geared up to watch them,
Yes.
that IMDb trivia page is just going to grow and grow and grow.
Cannot
go
wait.
check that place out. It's amazing.
We've got the show taking place in 1985 in season 3.
Yeah.
And so a lot of, I've been looking at, okay, what were some of the big movies in 1985? And The Breakfast Club came out in 1985, which was cool because as I was rewatching season 2 and I was watching Billy's character, it really reminded me of John Bender from The Breakfast Club.
okay.
It was basically like, remember when Bender does that monologue and he talks about his dad?
Burning him with the cigarette?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so I was like, wow, this is kind of that scene, except acted out. And we actually are getting to see it, which is something that I thought was cool.
Someone in chat said Marty McFly right away, 1985. from Back to
Totally.
the Future.
Totally.
Yeah, for sure. That's a big reference to. I mean, so there are going to be so many great ones. I'm just running through in my brain all the other ones. Like for example, if you look at Nancy's bedroom, there's a picture of the king himself, Tom Cruise.
Right.
And
Not
King
Steven.
Sorry, it's an inside joke here.
Yeah.
But King Tom is on there, and
Yes,
also if
yes.
you look at their costumes for for Halloween. They dress up as like the
Yes,
most
risky
unrecognizable pair,
business.
risky business.
Right.
Then also,
and
you've
then
got-
Steve dancing at the party. I
Yes.
love that
Yes.
gift.
Yes,
Yeah.
I love you dancing.
Yeah.
Max also wearing the Mike Myers costume, and also,
Yes.
by the way, the Ghostbusters thing.
Yeah, it's
Yes,
great.
That
so
Venkman
good.
conversation is brilliant.
Right. The whole thing.
love
Quick note for me though, just my favorite thing. It's in season 1. It's not really an Easter egg. It's pretty in front of you. Just like how on the nose of D&D, Dungeons and Dragons,
Yes.
season 1 is. Obviously, they in the first episode they basically play out the entire season for you on that game board, and they say you're the wizard, you're the ranger, all sorts of stuff. I really love that how that.
So do you think, by
theme
the way,
goes
that's
over
all
it.
very telling to
Yes.
like the future? So do you remember in the very beginning that they showed the Demogorgon, that's how you first see what it looks like,
yeah.
and then you see the wizard. Do you think if we pay more attention to those scenes, we're going to see more kind of foretelling for season 3?
Yeah, and it really works in season 1 too, because in season 1 you're like, is the Demogorgon a real thing? Or are they just kids, like their imaginations are running wild, and it is very real, right? So that's what I really loved about season 1 too.
Tell me about that thing that you were telling me about with the book.
Oh,
This has
delivery.
my name
Special
on it.
delivery, all right.
But tell me about that thing real quick about the board game.
Yeah, so my theory is that D&D for season 1, arcades for season 2. My theory for season 3 is that it's going to be kind of based on board games like Mall Date. Was that
yes,
what it was?
yeah, Mall Date, yeah.
yes.
Mall Date, and so I think they're growing into relationships and start dating each other. I think that's going to be like an overarching theme of season 3.
It was very funny IMDb trivia about what that mall really is, and it being like a front for the Lynx Corp.
Oh.
Yeah. Very smart stuff. Okay.
Okay.
A file. I don't like having files with my name on it. Okay, Tim. We have gained access to your internet search history.
Oh.
And we noticed that you have been researching season 3 fan theories, amongst other things. Please share those theories with your co-hosts now and get their opinions by using these snazzy paddles. If you believe the theory, use perfectly strange. And if you don't, too strange. Paddle for you
Okay.
Yes.
and paddle for you.
Yes. Chat, be sure to play along. Let us know what you think on these theories.
All right, here we go.
Ready.
Fan theory number 1.
Yes.
Paddles at the ready. Billy becomes a real life monster. Two Perfectly Strangers.
Oh, yeah.
Perfectly Strange.
Perfectly strange.
Explain yourself.
You thought about it. Go ahead.
Okay. You clearly thought about this.
I know you're like, all right.
Otherwise,
All right, let me at it. No, okay. So we talked earlier about Billy kind of being the antagonist for season 3, and the Duffers have talked about, and even the actor who's played Billy has talked about, like, yeah, we're not going to be redeeming this guy, right? And so, with that said, we can sort of take a look at the trailer and we can see that something is happening to him. And I am of the opinion that, and the Duffers have said that David Cronenberg was going to be a big reference or a big influence on season 3.
Okay.
And so I am of the opinion that we're going to see a fly-like transformation of Billy turning into a monster. But there's a ... But you go ahead because there's more.
I was actually going to read Sasquatch, our dear trivia king in the chat, says, too strange, he already is a monster.
Ooh, sick burn.
That is a good take. All right, keep going on yours. I'm loving where you're going.
Okay, well, I want to pivot just a second.
Okay.
So, The Fly.
Yeah.
My money on the Cronenberg reference is The Fly, right?
Okay.
Great body horror, but also great characters. That's why that movie works,
Yes,
right?
Jeff Goldblum. Yeah.
It is a tragic love story. And so, if it's not Billy that turns into this, like, shape-shifting monster, no. I think it could be Hop.
Ooh.
I think it could be Hop because
that might be a too strange.
Because think about it, at the end of The Fly, it's a love story, and the lover, his girlfriend, has to eventually pull the trigger. And if we're setting up a love story in season 3 between Joyce and Hop, it could be that.
let me ask you this. Who would make you saddest is if they died?
Steve.
Steve.
No question.
Oh, he's done.
He's
100%.
He's our man.
For me, it's Hop, and that's kind of like, because he's been looking after, he's got the protective nature for so long.
I'll go Steve and Dustin only because Dustin is being set up to be like
I love Dustin.
terribly sad.
Oh.
And, no, not like just like
Yeah.
lonely and not having a girlfriend. Like they tease in the trailer, he goes to summer camp, he loses all his teeth.
But don't forget,
Or I guess they haven't grown back yet.
So I just got through the last 2 seasons again, and don't forget, you're in that final episode. Dustin gets sprayed in the face by the thing,
Yes.
and then they just kind of, I'm okay. I don't know.
They're never okay.
Well, and Hop,
There's a reason for everything the Duffer Brothers
You
does.
say Steve saving Dustin. Oh, that would just be.
Oh, that would be so sad.
Where he just hugs him,
And they tease that, yeah.
I
All
love
right.
that. That was the
Next
beginning.
up.
Okay. Hopper's daughter is alive and is one of the numbered subjects. Too strange or perfectly strange?
I'm going to go Too Strange.
Too strange.
I think it might go too strange.
Really?
I think so, a little bit. What are your thoughts on this?
Look, Hopper's daughter died of cancer, but also technically Will died in the very beginning, and she said, "Show me the birthmark that he has," and she doesn't know what that is, but it's a monster in there, and then he finds out when he cuts him, and out comes the cotton wool.
It could be why he's so interested in helping out.
And
also.
where is she?
Okay.
But here's the other thing. Season 1 and Season 2, we've got to really learn about Hopper, his emotional story behind it, the fact that he lost someone. When he does those phone calls back to his ex, you get to see a side of him that's kind of really sad in those quiet moments. That amazing scene where his daughter's dying and he just collapses in the stairwell and cries his eyes out. I feel like that's all there for a reason. And so the moment that they remove that completely, I don't really feel that's in the Duffers' process or what they've proven to us so far. It might be a little far.
I agree 100% with everything you just said.
But we do have a bunch of other subjects we have to meet. This is why I love that Callie episode.
Right.
Yes.
Carly, where we get to see someone else. It was just one episode.
Lost sister.
We get to see her in that kind of punk MTV zone for just a minute. It was like almost like a novel on its own right.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see more things like that. So it's not impossible, but you both are giving it too strange.
There is, and chat says too strange, but I need to call this out. Again, our dear friend Hate Your Hero says, even worse, Dustin transforms and Steve has to mercy kill him.
Yeah,
You're sick.
that's what we're talking about
You're
Get out of
a
here.
sicko.
with The Fly.
Who are you?
That is too much.
But not bad. I like it. Okay. Next one. There will be a Soviet invasion.
Oh, that's.
Was it just because I said it like that?
No,
you guys are not going
They've been teeing that up
Yeah,
the whole
that's
show.
what's
So this
Going.
takes part, 83, 84, 85.
85,
We're in that heat of the Russia-America conflict.
Yes.
It's
And
there.
just like if you're gonna tee up any sort of 80s sci-fi, even now to an extent, any sci-fi, it always ends up being like that sort of storyline.
You guys want to hear my theory?
Yes.
Yeah, please.
Hit
Okay,
us.
so the Dovers have said, this is the thing thing.
Okay.
The thing thing? This is the thing part that I want to get to. Okay, so the Dovers have said that the thing is going to be very present in this season, right?
Okay.
Now, we've already seen references to it in season 1, season 2, but it's going to directly impact this season. They've said gore, they've said gross stuff. It's going to be like visceral. So I think that it's easy for us to look at the trailer and be like, oh, those great, effects, right? Where the creature is transforming and, the people are turning into a monster.
Yep.
I actually think that the Thing reference is about the Soviets and who can you trust? Because they've been sort of teeing up, like, as I was doing my rewatch, I was like, yeah, this is so Invasion of the Body Snatchers, but they don't quite go there. But the Thing is all about a couple people trapped in a room. Are you really you?
Right.
Can I really trust you? So
Speaking of which, that scene is one of the best scenes in sci-fi
the
or
blood
horror
test
of all
scene.
time.
Yes.
But yes.
So that's sort of where I think that this is going to tie in more so than just those great like Rob Bottin effects that we
Right,
know and
okay.
love.
Okay.
I think they're going to lean into the can I trust you, and maybe something's getting passed around.
Okay, that was a thing right there.
thing thang.
There are a ton of things. Do you remember in season 1, Eleven had to find the Russian spy, so that's always been, when they find
Right.
the code, the guy keeps repeating that same phrase
Right.
over and over again
Right.
in Morse code. Also, there's a lot of blue and yellow kind of color being used right there. And also
Yes,
Okay, yeah,
the
yeah.
ultimate
absolutely.
movie
Yeah,
about
yeah,
kids
yeah.
that later on got remade, not as well, but 1984, that's
Yeah.
this year right here.
Yeah.
So we could be seeing that. All right, next one.
Yes. Nervous laugh.
Well, because it's kind of true. In season 3, a character whose name begins with B will die. So far, the reason they're saying this is because Benny Hammond was the burger guy.
Yes.
He died, played by, shout out to Chris Sullivan.
Yeah, I love Chris Sullivan.
Bob Newby,
Yes.
Bob Holland.
Oh, yeah.
Now, but not everyone who's died begins
Is
with
B,
B,
yes.
because
Right.
they're the scientists. I don't think they're all
Okay,
called
so you
Bob
said
and
beginning
Bill.
of the season though?
I'm
in the
saying
season?
in season
In
3,
season
a character whose name begins
I-
with B will die.
Guess, yeah.
And you know
perfectly
whose name
strange.
begins with B? Steve. No, okay, no, go on.
No.
Yeah.
He has a secret
our
first
guy,
name.
Our guy Billy.
Billy.
Yeah.
And that's interesting. If that does, if they do that in this season, I think that is legitimately a thread.
But what's the point?
That's exactly what I'm wondering. If there's
Fun
B, if there's
hashtags.
B
Is it
significance.
literally the Duffers? They just like go on.
Nero Puro, Steve, aka Babysitter, as he's known lovingly on the internet.
No.
I'm not liking all this Steve
Yeah, why are you guys coming for
discussion.
Steve?
Yeah, you guys are killing me here.
I'm just saying.
Leave Steve
But yeah,
alone.
X Kipso says Billy question mark. So yeah, I think that's
Yeah.
perfectly strange, especially if he ends up being the.
I agree. Perfectly strange.
All right, so you think someone would be okay?
Yeah,
we
sure.
got to go down the IMDb page and see which other characters have start with the letter B. Steve. This is not a bad one.
Okay.
We've all been trying to understand what the Upside Down really is.
Okay.
You know, it's like an altered dimension and things like this. The Upside Down is actually the future. Perfectly Strange or Too Strange? Too Strange, Perfectly Strange.
I'll go
okay,
Perfectly Strange.
finally.
Just to do it.
Argue it out.
I think time travel is always an element in things that we're talking Back to the Future.
Dimension.
1985. We're
1985.
talking 1985. We're talking Back to the Future. That's it. They haven't introduced that quite yet, and I think that is like a really big part that they can put into. And I think the Duffers can handle really well. Time travel is not the easiest to do, but I think I have faith in them doing it. Yeah, I think it's
I
perfectly
mean, look,
strange.
Callie can put things in your brain, just make you see things. 11 can do telekinesis. Time travel is just another version or
Yeah.
extrapolation of that idea. We know we're going into other dimensions. So every time we see the Upside Down, it is the same building, right? It's the same thing that they're in. It's just whether the car that's parked outside is more beat up. Everything looks like it's in a dystopian future where things went
Yes.
wrong. So is that the future where the Mind Flayer has won? I'm not mad at that. Otherwise, what is it?
Chad is saying perfectly strange, perfectly strange. What do you think? Why do you think that's too strange?
I think it's too strange because time travel at this point, I mean, they could try. I'm sure they will try in some ways, but that's kind of hard. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
okay,
Like
okay.
it's just you don't want to do the kitchen sink.
Sure, yes, which is something that they balance perfectly right now.
Exactly.
Don't want to overload it. I get that. I'm into that.
Okay, chat. I'm going to throw this out there because I'm done with Hawkins' games. All right, season 3 is coming up.
Yes.
Let's talk about what are we hoping to see. What do you think is going to happen, and where are we going in this season? Will it be the best season yet?
Okay, so I think yes.
Is season 2 better than season 1?
So I have, again, we talked about this earlier, I have the maybe kind of hot take that season 2 is better than season 1. Just because season 1 is basically perfect. Season 2 just makes it slightly more perfect because I think the way they developed the characters, I'm really into like the relationships of all the kids. Again, I'm really like feeling for Dustin, especially at the end of season 2. Dustin and Steve, they're doing really well. Like the Billy element and all the relationships are developing in the way that I really like. And I'm assuming season 3, since they're all now teenagers and going into college, maybe-ish in that age.
I would say the next year, what? It's high school. It's like what? Vacation, high school.
Summer
that
leading
kind of
into high school. Yeah, and I think it's going to be I think I'm going to be really, really interested to see like where people. Someone talked earlier, like, are there going to be sacrifices made, like, to keep relationships alive or to save another one? I think it's going to be
because
real
in
good.
season 3, when you've had 2 solid seasons, it's time to step it up even further and push things out. I think David Harbour in an interview went and said it's kind of going to go 4 seasons only.
Yeah, 4 or 5. They announced how much it was going to end.
He wants 5, it'll be 4. So we're kind of in that zone where things can go wrong before they have to tie it all up.
Yeah.
Let's break it down into the relationships, right? 11 is now back with Mike. What do you think is going to happen? Well, that was a strange reaction, but yes.
I love it. Like, it warms my heart.
What do you think is going to happen there?
I don't know. I mean, I think the relationships that are going to be strained are going to be between the boys.
Between each other, not being able to, right.
Between each other. They already teased it a little bit with Luke and Dustin, and I think they're going to kind of expand upon that a bit. Like Mike's going to want to spend time with his girlfriend and all that sort of stuff, and Dustin's going to want to show him his science camp experiments, and I think that's going to be a theme there.
Any other relationships or couples or storylines you care about in season 3 deeply?
I mean, we kind of talked about it a little at the top of the show, but I'm so curious to see Max and Eleven's relationship form. I love how sweet they seem and how like I said earlier, the idea there's so much in teen 80s movies that we need to go back and like give those great bonding relationships that the boys usually get to act out in all of these movies that are points of reference to these girls.
Yeah.
And Max and 11 are just like such little badasses.
And
I don't
in
know
real
if Max
life,
is the best influence on someone like 11.
Really? You don't think so?
Well, Max is a renegade, but don't forget, Max has softened up. But when we first met Max didn't care. She was
She was. I mean, I think the two of them basically have experienced a lot of different kinds of emotions, a lot of different grief,
a lot of different type of abandonment.
Exactly, and so I think that those two finding each other could be a really beautiful thing to watch play out.
And in real life, they're like best friends. They're always Instagramming each other.
What do we think about the Steve, Nancy, and Jonathan?
Steve and Nancy are done.
Yeah, that's over. I think.
Finito, forever.
So something I'm thinking is going to happen is there's going to be like a major death. Like I thought it was going to be last season. I was like, someone's gone this season. It was, do not say that. It was Bob who left, who, yes, was a major character, but I'm thinking one of the core kids is going to be gone.
I can't even think
and
like that.
I think it's going to be Jonathan or Steve. They've both have done like full sacrifice situations, and they both have gotten out of it. I think time's a ticking.
Well, one character who I want to give a great mention to is actually Lucas's little sister Erica.
Yes, loved her.
Yes.
She was phenomenal. I cannot wait to see Priya Ferguson do more in season 3. Both of you, thank you so much for sitting here, deep diving on season 1, 2, and 3 of Stranger Things.
Yes.
What you got coming up this week?
We have the IMDb show live tomorrow, 12 noon Pacific. We have Tony Revolori from Spider-Man Far From Home.
Okay.
He's going to be on here, so
and
join us.
Yes, and you guys can find me just on the internet in general at Clarke Wolfe. Clarke with an E, Wolf with an E on the Instagrams and the Twitters.
It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you both. You've got me even more excited about season 3 coming up. I want to say thank you to everyone for watching. Thank you for everyone taking part in the chat rooms.
Yes, thank you all so much.
IMDb Live was presented by Ego. One Ego can change everything. Here, check this out. LegoMyEgo.com/11. That's LegoMyEgo.com/11. And go back to 1985 with Ego. From all of us, thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.